Hi, I'm Becca Otis from Five Lines Pottery in Monroe, Washington.
And I'm Ryan Durbin from RD Ceramics, located in Southgate, Kentucky.
And welcome to Wheel Talk.
Hey guys, we've loved answering all of your questions so far. If you'd like to hear your question on the podcast, please send them to us on Instagram at wheeltalkpodcast or by email to wheeltalkpodcast@gmail.com. Thanks. Did you almost miss it again?
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
Hi, Ryan.
Hi, Becca.
We're live
On the same time zone.
I'm on the same time zone for the first time ever.
Are you drinking Bev? No, that's not Bev. It's sparkling water.
Oh my God, tragedy occurred.
Tragedy. Why so? Because you ran out of Bev?
I did, but no, I think that they can't ship to Indiana for some reason.
Right, you mentioned that. Did you actually, did they reply to you and tell you why?
She replied to me, but she was like, I'm not sure. I don't think we do. And I'm like, well, if they can't ship to Indiana, what am I going to do?
Can you ship to Kentucky?
That's what I was thinking. I was like, maybe we could ship it to you.
Ship it to me?
I'm going to try. I'm going to try to ship it to you, and then I'll just come and get it. Or you can bring it up when you come. But I think I might be becoming like an alcoholic.
You're having Bev withdrawals?
No. Okay. For everybody on here that thinks that I drink like a ton, I actually do not. I actually drink far less than you do. Way less than you do.
How do you know how much I drink?
Because you show those tiki drinks all the time. Like, I drink
I'm only making those like once a week.
Yeah, but I barely drink once a week.
Okay.
I don't know. Like, that's probably because I don't have alcohol readily available to me all the time usually. But anyway, I don't know why, but like recently I'm like, I really want to drink something, but I haven't had anything.
I've been wanting like cider. Like, I want to just get a 6-pack of Angry Orchard and just have a Angry Orchard some nights in the studio.
Yeah. I have, weirdly enough, been wanting mimosas, like hardcore. Like, I don't know why. Maybe it's the orange juice.
Oh, maybe you need a tiki drink.
Maybe.
We can do something about that.
Yeah.
All right. So, it's been a while since we talked on mic.
That's true.
But where are you at?
I'm in Indiana.
You're a Hoosier, officially.
That was so funny the first time. I was like, what the fuck is a Hoosier?
Now you know, and you are one.
I still don't really know. But I am one, I guess. Yeah, so I moved in, and thankfully, super thankful that Rebecca is here, and she helped me move in, and Lloyd is here, and he's having the time of his life.
Nice.
Figuring
Plenty of
everything
space
out.
to roam around and...
Yeah, I think he's a little bit bored. He, like, meows at me often and, like, brings me into the living room right next to his toy. He's like, hello.
Are you going to entertain me or what?
Play with me. So I'm trying to find toys that will entertain himself.
Can he at least, like, sit on the ledge and watch out the window while you're gone and stuff? Or...
I don't know. Yeah, I want to leave whenever I have the window open, he's, like, on the windowsill, like, 100% of the time, because he's like, what's out there?
Yeah.
So I want to leave the window open, but it's a little chilly.
Yeah, it is chilly.
Yeah.
So we haven't talked about the move or whatever. How did the actual move... You've been there for, what, 11 days now? 10 days, something like that?
I moved last Sunday, so 9 days.
A little over a week. Yeah.
Yeah. So I got here last Sunday, and I got here at like 2 or 3. No, I got here at 3. That's with a time change. So, and then U-Haul called me and was like, "Where are you?"
Oh, because you had to return it before they closed at 4 or something like that, or 3?
Yeah, I was supposed to return it that day, and I didn't realize that I was supposed to call them and be like, "By the way, I'm not going to be there." So I was like, can I just return it tomorrow morning? So we had to unload everything, and then I returned it the next morning. Um, but yeah, it was good. Like, thankfully Rebecca and Chris were here and they helped me, and I moved everything into the studio that day too. And Dusty was there, so he helped. And yeah, and I've spent more money in the last 2 weeks than I think.
Yeah, I mean, you made it sound like you didn't have much. I mean, in the U-Haul, did you have about half of your studio and half of like personal stuff for the
it was pretty
apartment?
half. Yeah, except for, well, yeah, I had the couch as a big item, and then I had the slab roller as a big item, and yeah, it was pretty half. I don't know. I felt like I had a lot of stuff. Most of my stuff for the apartment was pots.
Oh
Like
yeah,
pots
like
and
other people's
artwork.
pots and yeah.
Yeah, so I have a bunch of like cups and stuff, which is not even comparable to your collection, but like, I have a fair amount. And
Yeah.
then I have a bunch of pieces of art. And then it just sat here like I went through a hardcore depressive state for like 3 days. It was like kind of like a shock to my system, which I
Yeah.
wasn't expecting at all. And
You mean because you're like in an empty apartment and you've got to like actually fill it out kind of thing, or
kind of,
just from the exhaustion of the travel?
yeah, just kind of like in like being here and like realizing like all the differences from back home to here, and like, you know, like the lady that I not lived with, but the lady who owned the office that I lived in Monroe, like called me, and I remember I like she was like, "Okay, I'll see you. I'll talk to you later. Bye." And it like hung up, and I just started like bursting into tears. I like just burst into tears, and I was like not expecting that at all. And so like the first couple days, I didn't handle it very well, but yeah, it was just like over. It was like just
Because it was like set in stone, like you're there
yeah.
and it's just you and Lloyd and your thoughts and
Yeah, it's like sensory overload almost,
starting new.
Just like so many things have happened, and then it was just like I finally had time to like think about it, cuz like when I was at my parents' house, we were doing stuff the whole time and I was around people the whole time. So, yeah. Well, shout out to Josh and you and all the other people that I called that. Oh, and Jen. Jen, you, and Josh were you were like the least of the three, but you were a pretty big portion because I called you later at night, and then I talked to Josh the entire trip. like, like I would just call him, and he was like, one time he was just like unpacking things in his house, and like, and then my other friend Jen in California, she just had a baby, so she's like, just breastfeeding all the time and like just chilling out with the kid. So
Yeah.
we talked for like a long time, and they pretty much kept me awake the whole trip. So that was nice. So thank you to those people.
Yeah.
But
How was the actual like driving overall? Because you were worried about the U-Haul and you were pulling the trailer
yeah.
with your car on top of it.
Yeah, the trailer's 3,000 pounds just by itself, and then the car's probably
That the car
two.
sits on was 3,000 pounds. Holy
3,000
crap.
pounds, and then the car is probably like another two. I don't know how much cars weigh, but
Jeez.
but yeah, like it was in Washington, it was fine. Like weather was fine, but I decided to go down through Portland because I had no intention of going over Snoqualmie Pass, which I knew was wickedly snowy, and I knew I wouldn't make it up. So I added like 2 hours, and then, or three. I went down to Portland and then went over it, and then I went over this one pass that it wasn't snowy at all, but it was so steep. I was literally going like 30 miles an hour. I was like, what the fuck?
Felt like 18-wheeler going through there. Like, geez.
Yeah, and I told my friend Callie the morning of that I was going that way, and she was like, "Oh, and guess what this pass is called? Dead Man's Pass. It's called Dead Man's Pass. Like, why the fuck are all these passes called like terrible things like Dead Man's Pass, like Rattlesnake Pass, like Lookout like why can't they call them like Sunshine Pass or something like that? Like, what the
Greater
hell?
Horizons Pass or something.
Yeah, and it was so terrible. It was just like it was so slow. And So I finally got over that one, and then I got to Boise really late, probably like 1 a.m. And no, maybe like 12. And then I was like, okay, I'll continue from here because my friend's brother lives in Ogden, Utah, and I was going to stay at his house while he wasn't even there. He wasn't even there. I was just going to crash at his house. And I was like, okay. And I didn't realize, like, I don't know if you've ever noticed this, but like, I didn't think about the terrain.
Idaho doesn't sound anywhere near Utah, but is it
It
actually
is.
Bordering it?
Yeah, it is.
Idaho comes down pretty far, I guess.
The thing about, so it goes Washington and then Oregon and Washington both butt up to Idaho, and Idaho's really long and pointy. And then at the very tip, Idaho, because I was going to Colorado, by the way. So the very tip, Idaho butts up to Wyoming on the bottom, and then at the very bottom, Utah is like right at the tip of it, and then New Mexico is right next to that, I believe. No, Colorado. Sorry,
I'm getting a
Colorado's
geography lesson here.
Yeah.
Pulling up Google Maps as I'm looking.
So in a square, basically,
yeah,
you have Utah on the bottom left,
yeah,
Idaho, Wyoming, and Colorado. It's almost like a Four Corners thing, but it's not.
yeah.
And so you have to go, so you go to Salt Lake City and then scoot up into Wyoming.
Yeah,
and
I see that.
Yeah, and so you're just hitting Utah for like a
So it wasn't out of the way.
No, it's not out of the way. In fact, it's in the way. It's like it's the right path.
Ogden looks right along
So,
the way. Okay. So you got there in Utah at what time?
No. At 12. This was still the first day. At 12 a.m., I like pulled off near Boise and I took a snooze in the rest stop, but it was really fucking cold. And so
Boise
I was like,
looks quite a bit away from Ogden.
Yeah, and so I was like, I can do this. It's only like 3 or 4 more hours. But remember that I'm pulling a trailer, so I'm going slower than everybody else. Not at the end of the trip, but at the beginning of the trip, I was going slower than everybody else. And I didn't have the terrain app on my Google Maps, and so I didn't realize that there was 2 other passes after that. Rattlesnake Pass, to be exact.
Between Boise and Ogden?
Yes.
Oh,
it was like 1 or 2 or one very long one. And so
in the middle of the night.
In the middle of the night. And so I start going thinking it's just going to be like a fucking straight shot. And then I get into like the worst whiteout fog I've ever been in. And I'm like, fuck!
Oh my God.
And it's like 2 a.m. and I can't pull over because I can't even see any exits because I can't see anything. And so I'm just going like straight in this super fog. But it was like freezing fog. And so I finally got out of that. It was like white knuckle driving. I finally got out of that at 5 a.m.
Oh my God.
And then I pulled into Ogden and I like got gas and my windshield, like the review mirrors had ice like shooting off. Like,
oh my gosh. So the fog is so cold that it actually
it was
like
frozen.
It sticks to your physical vehicle and then it like starts to melt because your vehicle's
it wasn't
warm?
melting because it was too cold, but it was just like ice frozen. So you know in The Incredibles when the waterman.
Never seen The Incredibles.
Well, fuck you. Like just think of it. If, like,
so the fog actually just melts and it's just ice. I never thought of fog that way, but I've never been in a environment that fog is so cold that it's like
it's kind of like freezing rain, but it's like freezing rain droplets.
Yeah.
And so it looks like it's shooting out off of the windshield. Like it literally looks like, if something's moving and it freezes, that's what it looks like. Anyway, so I've been waiting to tell this story.
I've heard it, so it's great.
I know. I get into Ogden, and then keep in mind it's 5 a.m., and I don't know what the fuck is up with Ogden, but everybody's driving at 5 a.m., which makes no sense at all. And their roads are terrible. So I finally get to my destination, which is a new construction townhome neighborhood. Okay, so new construction. I think that my friend's brother's house was like the first house. And so I've been in construction, so I'm like looking around and I'm like, where the hell am I supposed to park? I can't park here. I can't like park in front of his house because they're going to be doing construction in front of his house tomorrow at 7 a.m.
I was thinking there wouldn't be an issue with parking because there's nobody else physically there, but yeah, I think a construction vehicle's going
No,
through.
like at 7 a.m. So I went down the block and I was like, maybe there's a parking spot like on the street that I can pull in and then just walk. And then I think I actually texted him hoping that he was a morning person. And but I finally found like a spot like way back in the corner, and I was like, I don't know if they're gonna tow me or not. So I like needed to put a note on my car, but I was so tired and I didn't have anything to write with, and so I pulled a receipt out and then found some eyeliner in a bag, and I wrote like a note saying like, please call me before you tow me. Yeah, not that anybody would ever tow a fucking U-Haul, but
They get 2 vehicles for the price of 1.
Right.
And a bunch of shit inside.
Yeah, and so I finally got everything plus the cat into this house, and it was like so nice. And I got to sleep at like 7 a.m. and I woke up at 9. And
oh my god! And that was your first
that was my
day
first
of driving.
day. I drove 21 hours the first day.
Oh my gosh! Fuck that.
And so then I woke up at 9 and left at 10 and drove to Colorado and then we were worried about the wind in Wyoming, and I actually didn't hit any wind. I don't know how, but I like...
You all just have ungodly weather out there. I don't even get it. I'm guessing that, like I was thinking, was that the worst part of your drive was between Colorado and Washington?
No, I shit you not. There wasn't anything after Colorado, but okay, my dad calls me. My dad's not one of those people that like makes you feel good about your decisions that you're about to make. Like he's like not that he makes
like
you
driving
feel
on 2 hours of sleep.
No, he just doesn't have like any like. God bless him. He just doesn't have like the social like knowledge to be able to like make somebody feel good. Like I was already stressed out about the driving, and he was like, oh yeah, well, our neighbor's truck got blown over yesterday in Wyoming. Oh my God. And I'm like, Dad, don't.
But you all have enough weight with all that vehicle and the trailer and all that.
This was a fucking semi.
Oh. Oh shit.
My parents' neighbor is a
truck driver.
He's a truck driver, and he like...
Oh, shit. Is there more top heavy?
Yeah, like the winds were so bad in Wyoming that his truck got blown over. It was like 80-mile-an-hour winds. And so I missed that storm, and I skipped the storm, and I was like right ahead of the storm that came the next day.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, so anyway, I got to Colorado fine. Leaving Colorado was kind of sketch because it started snowing the morning of, but... I got through it, and it was totally fine. And then it was clear sailing from there. But I did still, like, drive till 2 a.m. So.
But you had some relaxation time in Colorado with, like, being there longer than you expected. You were talking about being there for 2 days. So you actually got to, like, rest, it sounded like.
Yeah, I was there for, like, 4 days. I think I was there longer than expected. And my parents have this, like, swim spa. And, like... My mom has a swim spa. My dad has a hot tub because they're living their retirement in the best way possible. And so I like swam every single day. It was great.
So you could like change the amount of tide or whatever. So you were swimming, or you were just chilling in a hot tub?
I was just chilling. My mom's swim spot is 95 degrees, so it's basically a hot tub, but it's like 3 times the size of a hot tub. And so I was just like, just chilling in like a small swimming pool.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Their view looked kind of good from the stories I saw.
Yeah, they have a really good view of like the Rocky Mountains, and my mom made them put up glass instead of like anything solid so that she could see the view. So
put up glass? What do you mean, like off the edge of the deck?
A glass door. Like, because they needed a windbreak because of the winds out there. Like, they needed something to block the wind, and so instead of like a railing, like with bars and stuff, they put a glass door. in front of it, so so you can see the view. But what's really fucked up is that that she can see the view, but my dad can't because her like swim spot cover like blocks his view. I'm like, Mom, that's so
Don't you
messed
take the
up.
cover off though?
No, it scoots
Folds
up,
up?
and it folds straight up, so it's in the
Oh.
way. I'm like,
Blocks
that's
all
so
the views.
messed up.
They can't use it at the same time.
I don't think they do though. I think they don't sit out there at the same time. So,
Jeez.
yeah, it was fun. It was fine.
Oh man.
My dad loves my cat.
Yeah.
So it worked out.
Do they have any pets?
They take care of my sister's dog.
Okay.
So, but yeah.
Your sister that lives in Alaska?
No, she lives in Washington.
Oh, that's right. Okay. Your brother lives in Alaska.
Yeah. But yeah,
Okay.
so yeah, it was fine. It was good.
Nice.
And now I'm here. And that was my story that I thought was really funny, but like
Well, I knew we had to recap something from the trip. There's no way you drive for ungodly amounts of time and have nothing to talk about.
Yeah, that's true. No, yeah, there was some good moments. I don't think I missed anything.
Okay. And you had to audible on the meeting stopping at Isaac's. So.
Oh, yeah. We nixed going to Isaac's house because I was going to go to Isaac Shu's house, and I was so stoked about it, but I had a sore throat, which we were positive it was from traveling and the lack of sleep. And then his wife woke up with a sore throat, so we just decided to just kind of like not risk anything, which was ended up being okay because it cut off like 5 hours of driving. So
yeah.
I was like, I'm okay with that.
That's good.
Yeah.
It's probably you're freaking breathing in like heating air in your vehicle for 21 hours. Like that can't be good.
And
to
I
just
was
be in a vehicle for that many hours.
And I was stuck in the vehicle with my like shedding cat. You know, like Lloyd's like a medium-haired cat, so he's like all about shedding all of his hair.
Yeah. He did okay along the drive, right?
He did pretty good.
You were worried a little bit.
Yeah, I weeded him up a lot. Like, I gave him some weed. Or CBD, whatever. And usually he would sit, like the first day he was a champ. And then second day he like freaked out and then hid under the seat for like 4 hours.
Yeah.
But then he would eventually just get up and just kind of chill out. But that was another thing, is that when I was driving in that whiteout fog, Lloyd had just decided that he wanted to play. And so he kept on like jumping on the dashboard and like,
oh, God.
I was like, Lloyd, get down. But he really likes to look out the window. Like he's like, oh, hey, what's going on? So, yeah.
Nice. Entertainment.
Yeah, but, and I had my first day at Gravesco yesterday and today. So I'm doing like, I'm doing like some hourly and some piece rate work. So, yeah.
I'm guessing you just get to choose what tasks, or from what I remember, Rebecca has like a board of tasks that need to be done, and then depending on what you want to work on at that time, you could just pick up those tasks and do them. Is that how it
No,
goes?
I think she has set things that she wants us to do. So, right now I'm working on these small crumbles. It's like 600 that need to be done. So, I'm working on those. I did 60 yesterday, but gosh, it's so hard to like. I forgot my glasses yesterday, and it's so hard to focus.
Do you need the glasses for close up?
They're helpful. Like, I don't need them all the time, but it is certainly helpful. But what more importantly, like yesterday I was focusing so much on like making sure that the shape was right and like the height and everything, so I was squinting my eyes the whole time and like really focusing, and so I had a headache by like bowl 50.
Oh.
And so I just cut it off early for yesterday. I think I'm going to go in though tonight and get some done.
I would hate having to. I mean, it's okay teaching for a couple hours with the glasses on and a mask on, because I saw you had a mask on too. So
Yeah.
I feel like that would get kind of annoying with the glasses and the mask, especially if you really need the glasses.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. Like, I need to find a mask that's good with the glasses because, you know, like tonight I'll go in and there's not going to be anybody there, so I can take the mask off. But like when you're around other people, you got to have the mask on.
Right.
Yeah. But I won't need the glasses much later on. I just, you know.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I had fun recording a solo episode.
Yeah, I listened to it. You said eyeballs a lot.
I did. And the other feedback was the mic was so crisp that you could hear me swallowing every drop of water.
You can. I'm sure that people can hear me drinking my...
So I'm like, all right, yeah, I did hear it when I listened back to it, and I'm like, damn, I need to... So I'm like, I feel like because I'm the only one on the mic that I have to be talking constantly and there can be no silence.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, I'll take it easy and just be like, all right, let's mute this for a second. A couple seconds of silence is fine while I take a drink, and then we'll get back to it.
I didn't think the drinking was all that bad.
I just heard a couple comments about it, so I was like, yeah, I noticed it too.
Just say at the beginning, I'm drinking water. Deal with it.
People know that I'm drinking water. Obvious. Somebody was like, you could hear the water going down his when he swallows it.
That's awesome. I love it. He's drinking water right now.
As I take a drink of water.
Or just do it like what you just did. You turned away.
Away from the mic, yeah.
Yeah.
Depends on the bottle. So yeah, that was fun. And I got a part 2 coming out at some point. I haven't recorded it yet, but I still got the questions that I need to answer. There's so much to talk about with social media. It's like...
I know. It's so much.
Endless.
I realized why Andrew never listens to my podcast when I was listening to yours. I was like, I know everything that you're going to say. Like, everything.
Should just, like, have a question and then answer it as if you're me.
Yeah. I was like, why am I listening to this?
I get it. I mean, I started re-listening to some of the older episodes. I'll listen to episodes like once a month or something. I'll pop in and listen to like 3 episodes, and I'll be like, okay, that's enough of me and Becca for today.
Forever. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we also listen to them a little bit when we have to get them out there, but... And also, we need to re-record our intro, too, because you're no longer 5 Lines Potty from Monroe, Washington.
Yeah, that's true. I'm trying to figure out how to change everything over, because I have to, like, literally stop the business in Washington. The guy on the Secretary of State was like, just make sure that everything's paid and all things are good, because once you're done, you're done. And I'm like, well, fuck.
Secretary of State? What do you mean?
Like, I have to say that the business is closed. Like, in order...
that state.
Because, you know, you have to do an LLC and stuff. And so you basically have to say, like, hey... I thought LLC was, like...
You can't, like, move it?
No, I don't think so. I don't know. If somebody knows and they hear this, tell me, because before the end of the month, please. But I'm just going to call my accountant and be like, what the hell do I do? So, yeah.
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah,
I mean, I would assume something like that could apply if I lived in Kentucky and moved to Ohio.
Yeah. I mean, luckily, I have all of my invoices and everything paid and stuff, like, all ended in 2020, which was nice.
That's good.
Yeah, because I left on the 3rd, so nothing happened after the 1st. So
nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's got to be a headache.
That's enough about us, since we've probably been doing this.
Yeah, 29 minutes in.
Yeah, I think 30 minutes is enough. At least you got a funny story out of it. All
right, what are we going to first? The review?
Yeah. Okay. This is a 4-star review from BC Susan in Canada on 10/24/20, and The label is priorities. She says, Becca, I listened to episode 62. I think your late night soliloquy and and truly appreciated your honesty. For the first time in a long time, you sounded relaxed, assured of your future, and unrushed. I hope you continue to prioritize your happiness and goals. Thanks for opening up to your listeners. Well, thank you. Do I delete that? Should I just delete it?
Yeah, you can delete it. Okay. I think that episode was called Prioritizing Your Happiness. That was the one right before Becca's big news.
Yes,
so
it was.
So people listen to that one, people are pretty much like, something's going to happen here.
Yeah.
They probably already kind of knew, but...
Yeah. Indeed. Yeah.
Thanks for the Canada love.
Yay, Canada. Oh, damn it. I keep doing that. Sorry.
Oh, Canada,
oh,
Becca.
Canada. I'm so sorry.
All right. We also got some short questions to answer from J.H. Pottery. This is not Josh Heim. This is Josh Henslick, I believe is his last name.
He's in California. Okay.
All right. So the first one is, what are your biggest ceramic pet peeves? I don't know if this is like in your process. I'm guessing that's what it means. But it kind of relates to the second one, doesn't it?
Yeah, let's do not like for me, what came up in my mind was when everybody's like, compress the bass. Like when there's so many different. I think that one of my biggest ceramic pet peeves is how much just misinformation there is, or how much mixed information there is out in the pottery world. And like one question can have like 25 different answers. That's my biggest ceramic pet peeve. Like people will say, you have to compress your base, and other people are like, no, it's all about drying evenness, and other people are like, no, it's about the thickness. It's like, what's it actually about?
Or it's about like, if there's an air bubble, it will blow up.
Right. That's not true, by the way.
Yeah. As long as it's dry enough. Yeah, I would say similar. Just, I mean, when you read Clay Buddies and stuff like that, some of the answer, like, there's no weight to anybody's answer, right?
Right.
I mean, the amount that they explain and if they back it up with the amount of information. But you're also on social media. Like, how much are you actually going to type 2 or 3 paragraphs explaining your answer?
Totes.
And this is my resume of why I can answer it this way. Or, are people doing, how much testing is being done and, like, proving that this specific thing that people talk about, the compressing, is, like, proven wrong and documented, and people can refer to it and say, that's actually false. This is what's really the concern.
Yeah.
It's one of those things you just hear it about, air bubble is not good, you need to pop it or else it's going to be bad, or...
By the way, we can clear that up right now, if you're wondering about that. It's not about the air. It's about how fast the air molecules move and combust when they are heated up. So air, when water heats up, it expands, and there's water trapped in that bubble because of the air that's trapped in the bubble. And when it heats up really quickly, it expands. So a way to not have your pieces explode if they have an air bubble is just do a slow bisque fire and do a hold to make sure that all of the water is out of that pottery before you continue on past.
Before you hit the boiling point.
Yeah, before you hit the boiling point. So
do like go to 185 and hold for X number of hours. It could be 3 hours, it could be 5 hours, 12, 15 hours.
I've held for 12 many times.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Were those like leather hard pieces you held that long?
Probably.
All right. Yeah, that's similar for me. Just I don't know how else to answer the pet peeve part. Is that similar to the second question? What annoys you most about the process?
No, what annoys me most about the process is like all the steps. I hate the steps.
Yeah, there are so many steps. I would say it's not trimming anymore. Trimming's grown on me some because of the amount of trimming that I do. That's hard.
I feel like it gets worse as I go up in the process. Like, I really love throwing. Trimmings, like, meh. Handles are like, eh. Like, and then glazing's like, ugh. And then loading the kiln is like, ugh.
Really?
Yeah.
So maybe the annoyance would be similar to what you said about all the steps. It's just there's so many areas for things to go wrong.
Yeah.
Like yesterday, I was firing a kiln and it errored out, and then I just realized like an element melted, and my evening shot. It's not shot, but I mean I spent 2.5 hours redoing all the elements except for one, and I was like, ugh, just shit can go wrong, and when you have your own studio, like you're responsible for all of it.
Yep. And then you wanted to skip the most important step.
I'm glad I shared that on social media because you and Josh both said about the 1900 degrees, and then Rebecca said that this morning in replying to my first story, and then after when I said, like, you all told me that you need to oxidize the elements first, get them to 1900 degrees and an empty kiln before
with
you actually...
stilts and a kiln with stilts and shelves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I did that. It fired in like 5 hours.
Yeah, it's a quick firing. That's like not the step you want to skip. Not the step.
And the risk is because there's organic matter and stuff burning off in bisque firing as well as glaze firings that could contaminate or...
Well, just like increases your element's life to do it that way. And then also, like, what, God forbid, what if you did something wrong?
Yeah.
That's true. And you had pieces in there, like, don't get me wrong, I have done tests on pieces that, like, I have done test firings and been like, I hope this works. But like, try not to. Try to do a test on an empty kiln. And use
I'm glad I didn't just assume that. And I would have made that mistake, and I would have probably loaded it with... I probably would have done a bisque firing first.
Yeah.
Just to be safe. But if I wouldn't have shared that, I would not have known about the 1900 degrees.
Yeah.
And that's for any kiln, right? That's not just specific to L&L kiln.
Yeah, any kiln.
Element replacement, any kiln that you're replacing elements. Is it if you replace a significant number of them? Like more than half of them?
I mean, I always replace them all at the same time anyway, so...
If somebody were replacing one element and the rest were...
I would.
You would? Okay.
Just make sure everything's tip-top.
Okay. Yeah, so we got that done.
Did you replace your thermocouple at the same time? Did it need replacing?
I replaced all three of them back in June.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Or July. When I replaced that first one, the first element, I replaced all three thermocouples at the same time.
Yeah, I do the same thing with thermocouples too, just because, especially that, because it's your temperature gauge. Just throw in a test kiln, like cone, in there just to make sure that it's hitting what it needs to hit.
Yeah.
But, yep. Okay. What's your favorite tool to use?
A metal rib.
Metal rib.
Metal rib.
Mine is a Kemper tool JA17.
What is that, a trimming tool?
Yeah, it's like one of the wood tools, the knifey wood tools. It's got a point at the end.
What's the initial?
JA17. So it's got like a half moon at one end. And that's really nice for cutting away extra clay at the bottom, trimming at the bottom. And then on the other end, it's got like, it goes to a soft point, or a point. And I don't know, I can't explain what it looks like, but it's good for just cutting in a line at the bottom so you can cut it off.
So is it a wood knife on one end, or it's a trimming metal?
It's a wood knife. Sorry.
It's a wood knife, okay. And then the opposite end is more like a stylus, or the whole thing is wood?
Whole thing's wood.
Oh, okay. When you said Kemper, I immediately went to like the loop tools or the trimming tools.
Right. That's my fave.
Cool. Yeah, the undercutting tools are important. I use a 45 degree Dirty Girls tool for my undercutting for the most part.
Yeah, I just got one of those before I left, so I'm excited to use it.
Nice. I mean, I tend to grind down those wooden ones because I tend to like dig them in instead of like holding them perfectly perpendicular.
Yeah.
And so I grind them down.
I grind them down too. I buy packs of 10.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, they're not expensive. They're like $6 a piece or $5 a piece or something like that.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
I just got a new Mud Tools metal rib just to compare. It's a little bit bigger, but it's all the other ribs that I've used up to this point are just those basic ass kidney shaped ribs that you get in those basic packs that I've probably had for years.
I like the Mud Tools one that's like it's rounded on one side and then it goes down to a point on the other side. I have like 2 of those.
And that's metal?
Yeah, it's metal. And then I love the itty bitty rib that's metal that Mud Tools makes.
Oh. Yeah, that's my first actual metal one that I've got from them. I of course have like the rubber ones or the silicone.
Yeah.
Red, yellow, green. I got the green one at the same time, but I haven't used it yet. I don't exactly know what to use it on.
The green square one it's like the big one that's like squared on one side and then rounded on the other side is like the go-to rib for me for hand building. It's the coveted green rib.
Oh, okay. I got the one that's more like kidney shaped.
Yeah.
So I haven't figured out what to use it for. Maybe I'll use it for like plates or something to like, get some compression going.
Fun fact, I don't know if everybody knows this, I don't know, but the colors are associated with how hard the plastics are. So
yes.
So red is super soft. I believe yellow is the next step up from red. And then green after that.
And then it goes to blue.
Blue?
There's an even harder one, yeah.
Yeah.
The blue's probably somewhere like a wooden rib.
Yeah. I always like that they color coordinate. It's nice.
Yeah. All right, so thanks, Josh, for those questions.
Yeah. I'm going to put them at the bottom.
Okay. Put them at the very bottom, and then we'll put the episode number with it.
I figured that out.
I stay organized.
Okay.
All right, and then do you want me to read the topic for today? 41 minutes in.
Yes.
Am I just reading the whole thing? All right.
Yes.
All right, so this one came in from, I'm assuming it's Andrea Monitz on Instagram. I'm a hobbyist potter. I started learning wheel throwing in 2019. In 2020, upon an accumulation of pots and pottery expenses, I decided to try and sell my pottery. Today I wrote a post where I shared how much I spent and how much I sold. I found this kind of stories are the ones people find more interesting. At least in my case, there's more engagement than what I share when I share a pot. Maybe my pottery sucks. I don't know. My boyfriend told me that maybe some people wouldn't like to see how much money I'm making, and I'm making peanuts. My question for you is, where do you draw the line about what you share? What's personal and off limits? Can oversharing hinder you as a business, or will it help? You guys often talk about money. Have you worried about it, or did it ever backfire? Cheers and thanks. Andrea.
I like this question.
I feel like we share everything, so.
We don't. I feel like we don't share everything.
Not everything, but I mean, I feel like we're more open books than the vast majority of people that are in our position. Would
yes, that's true. We share a lot, but we definitely don't share everything. And I think that it's interesting to find out where that line is, And
what do you mean by everything? I don't know if everything means personal and business, or if that means just business. I was assuming just the business because I only have a business account. I don't have a personal account.
Yeah, that's true. I think that she's assuming like business.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not like publicly putting all of my every sale that I made throughout the whole year, if that's what you mean by everything.
No, but like, okay, so I think that, well, I mean, I don't know about you, but for me, like, I think that it's more not like whether we're sharing everything, but like when we're sharing said things. I think that it's like a time and a place sort of situation. I learned a long time ago that if you share everything that happens, like while it's happening, like, and this goes with not only money, but like customer experiences, like maybe bad, frustrating customer experiences or just experiences that you're frustrated in general, like sharing those. I feel like a lot of people will, I used to do this when I started, like vent on a social media of some sort, and it just might not be the right time. You know,
Yeah.
there's a difference between being vulnerable, like about where you are business wise, as opposed to being like, this happened today and like blah blah blah, you know, like fuck this person, like, you
Yeah.
know. And that's the same thing about being vulnerable about finances versus being like, I made this much today, blah blah blah, like how awesome am I, you know, like, and we're definitely not saying that you do this. I'm just talking about like the differences, you know, because I think that we've talked about it here is you know, there's a lot of ways, especially on social media, that you can become jealous of people. And I think that it's a two-way street of jealousy. Like, no, you don't have to hide who you are, but I think there is a certain level of tact that one needs to take when sharing information about business.
Depends on why you're sharing it.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Like, is it a teaching moment? Is it not?
Right.
You know?
Right. Yeah, I've shared a number of shows that I've done this year and like how much I made. Usually I'll keep it pretty quick and hey, I did the show today. After the sales were all said and done, I sold about $1,300.
Yeah.
And I'll leave it at that. The only people that are going to see that are people that watch my stories. And I do write it in the like caption part when I write the story.
I feel like that's your brand. Like that is your brand. Like you're like super transparent about that kind of stuff, which I think we both are. We are very transparent about that type of stuff.
I'm curious what other people that see that get out of it. Usually I'll kind of reflect on the show after the show happens that day. And I'm kind of just giving feedback on what I thought the show, like, did it meet my expectations? Did it not? What were my feelings from the day, from the customers that were there? And I'm just generally not going to share a negative experience anyways. And usually if it's, I think somebody's asked, like, what's the weirdest thing that a customer's ever said to you? Like, I just like, that rolls off my shoulder. I don't think about it. I don't stew on it. Like, I don't really give a shit. Like, that's going to happen. And I just don't like internalize it and say, oh, I need to vent about this later. Like, I don't care enough to feel like I need to let it out and vent about it, because I don't really need people to say, oh yeah, that person was an asshole.
Right, totally.
Like, that doesn't really help me to need to share that.
I think personally, when I see those stories that you post, I'm like, I think about the potential. Like, I think about, oh man, like that's awesome that he's getting that. Like, especially as somebody who doesn't live or didn't live in the Midwest, right, or as we like to call it on this podcast, the Mideast.
You like to call it that.
As somebody who doesn't live in the Mideast or before now, it was like, hey, that's cool that somebody, you know, you're not like a super, super high-end potter. You're a normal potter. And somebody that's a normal potter can make like $1,600 at a show in a day. That's pretty freaking cool, you know? And like, I think it shows people what the bar is, you know, which is nice.
Yeah, it's nice to know what the potential is in the buyer that are out there, because you might be thinking, oh, it's not like it could also gauge based on if maybe you sold at the same show. Like, there's other potters that sell with me, and if I'll see, you know, Jen from Button Bowl, and we'll just kind of talk at the end of the day and be like, hey, how was your sales today? And she'll like tell me your numbers, and I'll tell her my numbers, and it just kind of like back and forth to kind of gauge how we did.
Yeah.
and how we felt, could tomorrow be better, not. And, you can still sell really well at a show that other people don't do well at.
Oh, yeah. Totally.
And it could just be that you're in the right place, the right time. You have the right price point for the market and the people that are coming by.
Yeah.
Because, I could have sold the best of any of the other booths at that December one that I sold $3,000 for the weekend. I could have been the best seller for that whole weekend. I don't know.
Right.
But
yeah,
it's
I think
cool
that,
to see, that people are willing to spend the money.
Yeah.
Or not willing to spend the money.
I've definitely been in situations, and I know people that have been in situations where when they were at a market and they said what they made, and it was, significantly more than what the other person made, there was, a jealousy and, a competition level that just, went off the charts. So I think that sharing, especially shows, if some random person came up to me at a show and was like, hey, how'd you do? I'd be like, oh, I did great. I would not say a number. If it was somebody that I didn't know.
Right.
It was another...
Yeah, I'm only going to share that if we have that kind of rapport together.
Yeah, exactly. If it was another, vendor that was maybe a competing vendor, or maybe somebody that's, totally different but still in, a super competitive market, I'd be like, yeah, I did great. I'm not going to tell you what I made. And I've traditionally done terrible at shows. So,
yeah.
So it doesn't matter anyway. Because somebody's great. And I think that that's actually a really good way to ask somebody too. Hey, how did you feel about today? When you do go up to somebody, how did you feel about today? How did you do? And if they say great, then you're like, that's awesome. And great to them could be $200 or it could be $2,000.
Right.
And that's the cool thing about it. You're not putting them to a standard that you've made,
Right. If I, great to them could be making back their booth fee, like you said.
Right. Because they just want to be there and they just want to be away from their children for 6 hours. That's it.
Yeah. Or get rid of some stuff out of their house because it's piling up.
Yeah.
And they're just happy to get some of it sold.
And they're happy to be there for the social experience.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some people will come up to me at a show that is also a maker, or they could also be a vendor there, and they're just asking me about a different show. Mm-hmm. And just saying, hey, have you ever sold at this one?
Yeah. And
I'll give them my feedback, honest feedback, and say, yeah, I think the booth fee was a little high, and I ended up selling not that great. The booth fee was $200, and I sold $500. I'll tell them that.
Oh, yeah.
And be like, yeah, I wouldn't do it again because I felt like it was too much, or I didn't make enough profit for the time and all this kind of stuff. So, I'll tell them that if they're, trying to judge based on whether they should do it or not. Because they can look at my work, see kind of my price point, and judge, compare to me, how does their work fit with it? Would it... And they don't have to be potters, but they can just get feedback about this event and how I sold based on the work that I have and how I display it and all that stuff. That I could share with people that I don't exactly know, but if they're another vendor and they're a small business and they are kind of asking for feedback, because I feel like giving somebody feedback about a show and say, I did okay. What does that even fucking mean?
I did okay. No, I agree. I agree with you on that.
Just like you're saying I did good, but if it's to get educated about an event, that I could save them effort, or I could just give them another point of interest for them, a resource for them to compare to other people that have maybe done it. Yeah.
So what about social media and stuff? I know I've definitely shared cost analysis and all those things, because the initial question is basically should I be sharing this on the Instagram or whatever, you know? And I, personally, a short answer, I think that you can do whatever the fuck you want, but
right.
But I do think that framing it in a specific way, hey, I thought you guys would like to see this because this is really cool to see how the numbers are, how my growth is. I think comparing and contrasting past to present is good. Mm-hmm. And maybe comparing present to what you want your future to be, you know, like your goals.
It also depends on what kind of audience you have.
Yeah.
If most of the people that follow you are customers, would it be a little off-putting to say, I had a great show this weekend. I sold $600 worth. Thanks for the support for those of you that came out to the show. Like, are they going to get any value out of you telling them how much you made?
I don't know. That's a good point.
Or do they like that?
I think that they do. I feel like
I think they want to cheer you on.
Yeah,
like most of the time when I share those, like people give me the hand clap or they say congratulations or say that's awesome or whatever. Like they want to support you, whether they're buy something or not, or they just want to say, hey, like that's a good job.
I think that the most important thing potentially from what, you know, especially with what you're kind of getting at, is that you put it in a positive light. If it's less of a number than you thought it was going to be, put it in a learning light, you know, be like, hey, it's okay because I learned from this and I'm going to do better next time, or I want to like move towards something better next time, or hey, guys, this is so cool. Like I had my first show and I made like $500 and I'm so stoked, you know? I think that that's the key, right? Is not complaining. Don't complain about the number. Yeah. But people are interested in like they want to make sure that you are succeeding, you know, like the people that care do want to make sure that you're succeeding. And if you share that along the way, then that's great. Like I remember when I made $1,500 Christmas Eve last year and I was freaking stoked. I was like, hey guys, this was like the best Christmas Eve I've ever had. And you guys are amazing. And I made more than $1,500 and you guys are freaking dope. And it was received super duper well, you know? And so, yeah, it's just the key is don't get boastful. Don't get complainy. Don't get whiny. Don't be boastful. Don't be whiny.
Because some of it, at the end of the day, how much you sell, it does reflect on you. Mm-hmm. You're like, you can't say that the customer is at fault for not buying your stuff.
Right.
I mean, it should be a learning experience of, did you have the right things out at the show? Did you bring the right stuff? Did you have it like organized in a way that it catered to the audience that was there? Did you have too many like high price things that were out of the price point that most people were shopping for?
Yeah, and the minute you infer that it's somebody else's issue is the moment that they feel either pressured to buy something from you or pissed that like they're the ones at fault.
The customers that didn't buy stuff?
Yeah. Or like,
and being your customer saying like, oh, if I come to see them at a show and I don't buy something, I might be seen as, I don't know.
I guess I just feel like you know, if I saw a post on social media that was like, oh, I you know, today's sales were $45. Super bummer. I barely
made my booth fee.
Yeah, I barely made my booth fee. I wish that more people had come to the show. If I saw a post that said that, just that, I'd be like, well, like, yeah, sorry. Like, I'd be like, sucks for you, you know? So, in return, if I had seen a post that said, well, you know, today was a great learning experience. I only made $45, which is barely the booth fee, but I learned a lot of stuff that I'm going to do next time, and I'm really excited, and I hope that twice the amount of people come to the next show that I do. If I saw that, I'd be like, dude, that's awesome. Like, go for it.
Or, yeah, I'm going to make it a point to advertise more.
Yeah. Like, I learned something from this, you know?
Because it's as much on the event as it is you as a vendor to make sure to advertise for it and tell people about it. Yeah, sometimes I feel like I'm putting out into the ether on social about a show, but I don't know everybody that follows me and where they are all located. How many people are local? How many people aren't?
Right.
But if I put something out and they actually show up, that could be a $40 or $60 sale, or just somebody that follows me that wanted to see my work in person.
Yeah.
You know, that's why I pretty much always share that I'm doing shows and stuff. What about the I feel like I see a lot of just the same post the day after a show that just says, "It was a great day. Thank you so much for coming."
Oh, God.
Is that too plain?
I don't know.
And too, like,
I don't do those posts because I feel like
I don't do
cheesy.
those, but I feel like they're repetitive, like people that reintroduce themselves on their Instagram feed when they say there's new faces around.
Yeah. Don't you know? I wish that Instagram had like a pinned post at the top. It'd be nice if there was like a pinned.
It's always "This is my welcome" post.
Like a welcome
Read
post.
about me here.
Yeah. Sorry.
As long as we didn't hear a crash. Also, I think this year when I was sharing all that stuff, I wanted to share it to give positive light on that shoppers are actually buying stuff in person because of COVID going on. Like, hey, there's actually people spending money in person. They're not scared and in their homes and not going anywhere. And I'm suffering as a business because nobody's coming to buy my shit.
Yeah, I agree. I think
that was a major reason that I shared all that stuff.
I think it's definitely important to tell people that success can be made in times of shittiness. And
as well
also,
as give firsthand experience of
like
podcast. What's possible in my area, as well as, you know, there are 60 other vendors that showed up to this thing. It wasn't, and there were a lot of customers that showed up too.
Yeah. And, like, you're connected to this podcast, and we're all about, like, education and stuff, so I feel like you get a hard pass. You know?
On everything I share.
Yeah. And
that's, like,
you
money
pass
and stuff.
with an A.
Yeah. Most of the other sharing, like, Square screens, most of that stuff was, hey, look at the total. I show you the total sales, just so that you know I'm not bullshitting. And then I'm like, and look, like a third of these sales were these items that were $12 and under. If you don't have items that are $12 and under, you're missing out on prime opportunity to just make some sales to people that have $12 to spend.
Always the opportunist.
Yeah, I'm like, man, that's why I'm cranking through these spoon rests like crazy.
Yeah.
It's like there's potential out there. If you're worried about people not buying your stuff, make a bunch of small stuff and see how they sell. It's not a big investment to you.
I'm all about the small stuff.
Rather than like making these big vases that you put a big $100 price tag on and you got to take to and from a show like 8 times, and
yeah,
it feels good to get little sales too. It's like, yeah, cha-ching.
It's funny because I was talking to Rebecca about, side note, I was talking to Rebecca about piece rate and stuff. So if people don't know, I'm starting to do production pottery, and you get paid per piece. So for different pieces, there's a different price. And basically she was like, I mean, I'll try to, you know, you should probably try to like switch it up a little bit so you can, you know, do some higher priced items and then some lower priced items. And I was like, I'll do the lower priced items all day, any day. I was like, give them to me. Crumbles, down. I was like, I would rather make 200 crumbles than 100 of the, like, you know, medium-sized bowls, because the bigger
2-pound bowls or something like that.
Yeah, the bigger you get, the more opportunity for error. And also, like, I just fucking love small stuff, and I like
the
throwing
crumbles
them
you
fast.
throw in a minute and a half or something, and
Yeah, they're fast.
mess up 5 to 10 of them, and that's only, you know, 15 minutes lost or something maybe, versus bigger pieces that you
yeah, the small stuff is where it's at.
Where would it be? I'm trying to think of another way to frame it for, like, devil's advocate. Has it ever backfired on you?
Sharing everything?
Or sharing certain things. I mean, I think you kind of framed it as don't vent about an experience you had immediately after it happens. some of this that we talk on the podcast could have been about something that happened like 3 years ago or whatever. But we don't put a name on it and like definitively say what it was or exactly what had happened in the moment.
Oh my God, this one time I had this lady come up to me and ask me, and I'm okay with talking about this now because I'm in a different state and it's 3 years removed. But,
she can't find me now.
no, I mean, she wasn't terrible. I had never met her, but I had connected with her, or I had met her, but I had connected with her from a different friend. And she wanted to do business, and she wanted to do some wholesale for like soaps or something, so like some soap dishes. And I was like, okay, great, what is your reseller's permit number? She was like, I don't need a reseller's permit, I'm an LLC. And I was like, au contraire. You do need a reseller's permit even if you are an LLC. And she's like, no, I don't. And I was like, yes, you do. And until then, I will be charging you tax. And I was like, positive, 150% positive. I even confirmed it with an accountant, and I like vented on my personal Facebook about this lady, and she went and read it. And then she was like, how dare you, blah, blah, blah. And then I was like in a pretty stressful moment of my life. And then she was like, and then I read all your posts and now I just feel sorry for you. And I was like, oh, fuck. Like, so that's when I learned not to share anything. I try not to share a bunch of personal stuff. Actually, so in this question, it says, where do you draw the line about what you share? What's personal and off limits? Can oversharing hinder you as a business, or will it help? So, yes, it can hinder you in those regards. I think
when you shared that, were you sharing that on your personal Becca Otis page, or was that Facebook, part of your 5 Lines page?
My personal Facebook page.
Okay, gotcha.
So, but also, I think that it's really important to create boundaries. Like, I very rarely become friends on Facebook with people that are my customers. Now I do, because I don't really share anything of my, like, I don't flip-flop between the two. I don't vent anymore. But I think that it's really important to keep your personal Facebook private. Lock it up. Make sure that nobody can get in there if you are a business, because they will find you. And then they'll ask to be your friend, and then you look like a douchebag for not saying yes, because I always just delete them. I'm like, delete.
Do you mean like you don't want people to know that your actual name is Becca Otis?
No, that's not what I mean. I mean that I don't want my customers becoming my Facebook friends just because they're my customers. Like,
I mean, you have the chance to just decline their invite.
I know,
don't think that's a dick move to decline their invite.
Here's what's okay. This turned out bad. So I've shared a lot about my personal life on my Facebook, or not on my Facebook, but on my Instagram and on my business Facebook and on here. And so when that happens, when you do share a lot of stuff about your personal life or just regular life in general, people tend to think that they know you, and so then they come to you on your personal, like in your personal space, and then so that's like the repercussions of that can happen. And of course, it's all out of good intentions, and it's fine, but like, I don't want the person that I've only interacted with online to be my Facebook friend if I haven't like really interacted with them, and so, and I think that can be something like at the very beginning I didn't really understand, and I would like it'd be like, oh, it's fine, whatever. But now, and especially since having the retail store, I made it I was like, oh, maybe I shouldn't. And then I stopped really using like Facebook, and I've never used Instagram as personal anyway. But yes, oversharing can definitely hinder you as a business, and it can also definitely help you. I'm very transparent about what's going on in my life and what's like shitty and what's great. And but the thing that I've also been extremely cautious about as I have grown my business is to make sure that people don't feel sorry for me. Because the more you share about your personal life, especially within your business, if it is sad or depressing, like depression or something like that,
Yeah.
people start to feel sorry for you. And then I have made it a point, I don't want pity buys.
You don't want people to support you because they know that you like need it or.
Yeah. And so make sure you match the good with the bad, you know? Be positive, be encouraging, and, but yeah, like, and it doesn't work all the time. Like, I feel like people think that I'm super poor, and they think that I'm like, that I like.
You're saying if they just follow you on Instagram and they just
Yeah.
know you from that,
Yeah.
that persona.
Yeah. And like they, you know, I don't want people to like look at me and be like, oh, I feel sorry for her. Like, so I'm going to give her like a follow, or I'm going to like this, or I'm going to buy this because I feel bad for her. Like, I would feel terrible. I want people to buy my products because they like my products. Like,
Right.
And that's what can happen if you do overshare, I feel.
Yeah.
I could be wrong, but
Yeah, I guess if I think about my Instagram part, like I don't share my personal life stuff. I mean, I'll talk about like Rachel or the cats or whatever every now and then, but I'm not like talking about. I rarely, if I'm like visiting family and stuff, like I'm not sharing stuff about family, but I'll take photos of like games we're playing and stuff, but
yeah.
I don't talk about like family stuff or, you know, have my parents on video if they're visiting or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. Other than that, I feel like I'm very, maybe I guess my Instagram is very professional in that aspect where it is like very business heavy. Like you're not gonna see a lot of personal stuff in there unless it's just around the house or we're making it like the amount of personal stuff is like I share the cats or I share that we made a tiki drink or we're
like
doing this fun activity or we're traveling.
Are your limit. That's your limit.
Or like if we're traveling, I'll take pictures of the
cats,
travel.
tiki drinks, and ticket to ride.
Ticket to ride.
That's your limit.
We need to play some tickets to ride.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like when I was in Colorado, very few posts. I mean, I had to post a picture of my parents' swim spots because that's fucking ridiculous. But
and the mug collection.
But yeah, like there's very few things that I'm gonna post that's, you know, I don't really have. But I also don't really have a personal life. I feel like my whole life is business. I don't either. So that's that.
I mean, yeah, it depends on what you feel like sharing. It depends on what your account is, right? I mean, if you share your account and it's a lot of family stuff.
Like, what's your brand? You know, like your Instagram account is your brand. So it's like you sharing all those things about your shows and stuff. That's your brand. Like, that's what you've been doing from the beginning. So, like, I think that whatever you're doing, like, whatever you do, you want to be consistent with it. You know, like, if you have a business account and it's mostly business and then all of a sudden out of the blue you post something that's super ultra personal, like, that's going to throw everybody off guard, regardless.
Right. Unless it has an impact on your business or it relates to it in some aspect.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, if we think about it, like, it's funny because I feel, especially in the pottery community, because it is kind of like tight-knit and there's like weird friendships that grow. And in every creative community, it's like that. But like, you know, take for instance, you and me, like we would talk on a regular basis, but we'd always talk about like, business or stuff like that, or you know, you shoot a conversation over to somebody that you're Instagram friends with, quote unquote, and you don't really know their life, you just know their business life. Like that's
right.
And you don't
and you know some of their interests, but you don't really know.
And that's like, you know, we're friends, like we are friends, we talk about everything. We do talk about a lot of business, but I wouldn't say that we were actual like real friends until like a couple of years ago, you know. Even though we've known each other for like 6 years.
I feel like you have to have some face-to-face or, you know, virtual face-to-face with people that is not like time boxed, sort of. I don't know, where you can kind of just not feel like you're pressed to get to the point and kind of like get the back and forth to get the feedback or whatever you called about or whatever you're talking to about.
Yeah.
I mean, I rarely even talk to anybody on the phone, period. So, like, chatting with you on the phone while you're driving for an hour and a half was more talking on the phone than I've done in probably, like, 6 months, period. Or, like, cumulatively.
Right. And then
I never talk on the phone to anybody.
Yeah, and on the flip side, like, I call Josh and we talk on the phone weekly, like 3 times a week. Minimum. You know, like, there's people that I talk to on the phone exclusively. And I've gotten to know them really well because of that. And of course, it starts with like a weird friendship that you don't actually know them, but then it kind of like moves, you know?
Yeah. It's also kind of, you got to figure out what kind of your boundaries are with the people that are like your social friends of your Instagram friends, that you feel like you really know them because you really follow them and know their stories and
yeah,
see their account and feel like you know a lot about them.
yeah,
Kind of like what you're talking about, where they might voice something to you and you're like, I don't know.
yeah.
And some of it's like, if you get I got a DM the other day trying to troubleshoot something for me from a post, but it was like, it's kind of where you got to decide, do you want to like shut them down and say, I don't really want answers, or is it more like, thanks for the feedback, it's nice chatting, versus you know what I mean, like, do you kind of humor them a little bit and kind of do some back and forth to see what their thoughts are, but you feel like you kind of already, it's kind of where you mention something, but you kind of want to like lightly vent, but you don't want to like get answers.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like Rachel will say that, like, hey, I don't want a solution here. I just want to vent.
Yeah. Just hear me. Don't talk to me.
But I'm sure people with accounts that get a lot of back and forth and problem solving or solutions or
yeah,
whatnot are like, how do you handle that without just shutting somebody down? Or
yeah, it's funny. I think we talked about this a little bit when we were talking on the phone, or maybe I was talking to Josh. I don't know, but it is fun. I know, Liz, you're listening to this, so I went and met with Liz Cohen, and if you haven't checked out her stuff, she has like the coolest stuff. You should check it out. But she's asked a lot of questions on here, and I was visiting her, and it was like, she was like, well, I feel like I kind of know you because I listen to your podcast every day. And I was like, well, you kind of do. Like, and so, but anyway, it made the conversation so much easier, you know, weirdly enough.
did it given that they can like lead a conversation,
yeah,
a little bit, like they have to have the social cues or whatever to like, they know more about you than you know about her.
Exactly. And so, and I had been communicating with her for a while anyway, but yeah, no, and it was super fun to like chat and talk to her and like get to know her a little bit more, and it was awesome. And it's really fun when you have somebody who does see you from that side. So like, you know, people that listen to our podcast, and when we actually meet them, and it is really cool to like connect and like see a human behind a question, you know?
Right.
And like, and that's why like Ensika is so cool, and like in ClayCon West and stuff like that is like meeting the people that you are like communicating with, you know?
Right.
And your pottery friends, your Instagram friends.
Plus, some of your questions that you get, the answers are not easily answered through text.
That's true.
So sometimes if I get a question on Instagram or whatever, I'm not shy about just recording a video and like talking hands-free with the video answering the question, because I want to like explain it. And to be honest, I don't want to type that shit out. So it's like, I'm just going to record a video and send it to you and you can reply or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was somebody actually that wrote me on Instagram a couple days ago that was asking about my spreadsheet stuff and my business financial tracking stuff, and she was like, hey, I set this up. I wanted your feedback about something that you did. Can you help me out a little bit? So like we got on a Zoom call and I chatted with her for like 15 minutes and like showed her stuff and like gave her the details and just kind of troubleshooted with her for 15 minutes rather than like going back and forth through messages that would probably take like 3 days of back. And it's like, hey, you're on there, let's just jump on a Zoom and I'll like show you what's up. Yeah, that's so much easier when you can actually get past just a keyboard.
So true.
That's why I'd much rather answer some of these questions through audio, because they can, I mean, it's not really a back and forth for them, but they can at least get a sense of our long-winded answers.
That's true. I feel like, and speaking of long-winded answers, I feel like we kind of got away from the topic.
Well, we talked about the personal stuff, and then we got to
I know, but there's one more.
Sharing.
There's one more mini micro question in here. You guys often talk about money. Have you worried about it, and or did it ever backfire? Do you ever worry about talking about money?
Not really.
Yeah, I don't either.
I mean,
I don't have
the only thing
money.
I worry about is the whole like paying people to help me out and stuff like that.
Yeah, Wow, look at what you did. You just buried yourself. I'm kidding. I don't have any money, so so it doesn't bother me. No, I have a little bit of money, but like, no, it doesn't really bother me, and I don't think it's ever backfired. I don't know, maybe. But I could totally see how somebody who has a fair amount of money, like, somebody who has a good following, someone who has a successful business, like a super successful business, I could definitely see how that could hinder them.
Yeah.
Like,
can they kind of seem like they're being greedy with like the price that they're setting for their pieces and
kind of, but also like I just feel like so many people could take advantage of that, like even if you were doing it as like a educational, because the amount of followers that you do have could, there's...
You mean to like undercut their price if they want to reproduce their stuff? Is that what you mean?
No, you're thinking too technical here. Like, I just think that people could take advantage and they could just like, I don't know, I just can't. I just like in my mind I'm just thinking about all the comments that people have when you like share something that's personal, like that, like, or you share like, oh, I made this much money with just like willy-nilly, like,
I mean, you could do the math. You could be like, hey, we just restocked 300 pieces, and then you could just look like, okay, the average piece is $85. Do the math. 300 times 85 is blah. You just made 10 grand or whatever.
Yeah,
in
you could.
a month. That must be nice.
And that's what we do.
Like, what's
that?
Yeah,
that's what we do. But like, just like regular people that aren't like us, that are weird like us. But like, I don't know. I just feel like it could be damaging to the image and to your like business to say like, hey, even though by the way it's public record anyway, to say, hey, this is how much we made and this is blah 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 blah, like it'd be awesome, don't get me wrong, like I think that other businesses could definitely like benefit from it, but I do think that it's a bit more risky the more money you make.
Yeah, I could see myself not sharing to a certain point.
Yeah.
I also don't know if I'm more willing to share because I know it's not my full-time job.
Mm-hmm. Might be it.
Like, I mean, I've, loosely mentioned salary for my full-time job on here, but like not exact. I mean, I'm not talking about that exactly, but
yeah. Like, I'm not going to share what I'm making
I don't know.
in my new job. Like, I won't be sharing that.
Plus you work for somebody and
I think that's crossing a boundary that shouldn't be crossed. That's not just my information. That's
the person you work for's information.
Yeah. That's
But would you be willing, if you have paid people in the past, would you be willing to like tell people
Oh yeah,
how you
absolutely.
came to deciding how to pay somebody?
Absolutely. And I think that, like, if you asked Rebecca how much she paid, like if we had her on the podcast or whatever and asked her that question, I can't guarantee this, but I would imagine that she would entertain that question,
But being the person being paid, you feel like that's not your information to give.
It's not my information to share.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, so that brings another topic. You should only be sharing information that is yours. Yours to share.
What would not be yours to share besides that?
No, I mean, but yeah, like that. Just that. Like,
okay.
Just make sure that it's your information. Like, don't be using other people's information and saying, like, oh, well, this and this and this. Like, just make sure it's yours. Yours and yours alone.
Yeah. Would you be, like, if somebody asked you certain things in comments, would you be more likely to DM them an answer or something or would you just like shut it down publicly in there and say like, I'm not comfortable sharing that?
I'd probably DM them. It's so weird because like I approach my Instagram so much different than my TikTok. My TikTok has almost 200,000 followers and my Instagram has like not that much. Like 5,000. And on Instagram, I'd be pretty willing to entertain something, but on TikTok, the minute somebody asks, like, "Oh, how much is this?" or like, "How much is the cup?" or whatever, I'm just like, nah, I'm not gonna like open myself
the number of
up.
comments is vastly
different. Yes.
Yeah.
But like,
I mean, you can't answer all of this.
No, but I'm not going to entertain that as much as I would, especially on a platform like that. As I would, as like on.
You mean
Instagram.
you're showing finished pieces and they're asking how much it costs?
That too, yeah. I don't even say that because I'm like, just go to the freaking website. Like, I don't. I'm mean like that.
You
way.
have resources. I do not have time to answer all of these
Google.
comments. Where can I find your stuff? Like, where can I buy this?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess there are more boundaries than I was thinking, but I'm always under the assumption that I'm thinking of it as the business side of it because I don't have a personal page. I've never shared personal stuff for the most part.
I don't really have a personal page either.
I don't feel like that is and this one talks more about money, so. But yeah,
I don't know how people that have personal pages can do both.
Yeah.
That's a lot of work.
The time suck, yeah. I mean, we have at least 2 accounts between this and or our personal ones or our business ones and Wheel Talk, but yeah, and like Pot Swap Official, and then I have one that I partially do with Clay Lines, but it's a lot. It's enough to run one account.
Yeah.
Unless you just have a private one and you just have family and stuff that follows you, but I feel like that's more like what Facebook's for.
Look at this cute sticker I got.
Nice.
It's a cat being carried by balloons. Sorry. Continue.
I think that's about it.
I think that's about it too. I feel like we've expunged we've
exhausted this one.
The information that we have.
And then we will we might have a future topic that kind of relates to what should or shouldn't be shared.
What?
Not on this episode. No, a future topic of like what should be shared on business accounts or thought of. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I think so. Maybe.
Maybe. Look at all those stickers.
I know there's like 1 billion stickers on this water bottle.
Are the is the sticker shop back up?
My shop?
Just any stickers that people want to buy.
Yeah, you can buy stickers now. Yeah, there was this one guy that ordered stickers and he was so sweet. He was like, I know that you're moving, so don't worry about it. Just take your time. I was like, oh, you're so nice.
Nice.
But yeah, they are up. I need to fix the kiln one. I got these little... The first kiln stickers that I got were so tiny, and then I got bigger ones, and I need to just switch them over to that one.
Yeah. So, if people want to buy some stickers, I think that's the only thing Becca has in her shop right now.
Forever.
She's got stickers, and then Wheel Talk, we have a couple stickers too.
Yeah, I've got to get a new kiln. So.
You got to get a new kiln?
Yeah. Yeah. Gotta get a kiln.
Okay.
Me and Dusty have one kiln. It's like a shitty old kiln. But I don't know if it's gonna be good enough
for Ural's production.
Yeah, so. Yep. 5.5.
You gotta get some pots made.
I know. I don't know.
Gotta get to work.
I want to make some. I actually really want to. I need to make a few things because I actually got some pieces from Hammerly Ceramics and then I got one from Liz Cohen, and I want to send them a pot. So.
Nice.
I gotta make something.
'Cause you're completely empty. There's no more left.
No, I have one in my closet, and I was gonna send it to my friend's brother.
You have one? Just open the closet. There's just one sitting on a shelf.
There's just one in there, and I was gonna send it to my friend's brother for letting me crash at his house for 2 hours.
Nice.
But we'll see.
Yeah.
Look at us.
All right. Yeah.
Same time.
Maybe
zone.
we'll see each other soon.
Maybe. Yeah.
Only
Bring
2
your
hours
mattress.
Yeah.
I've spent
well,
too
you got
much
plenty of
money
floor space in that living room.
I do.
Plenty of floor space.
Yeah, you could put 5 air mattresses in there if you wanted to. You just have to bring your own. BYOM.
Bring your own mattress.
Yep. I gotta get one eventually.
All right.
Cool.
Well, thanks everybody for listening. Becca
Yeah.
is now a Hoosier. And we'll catch you next time.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
Hey guys, thank you so much for listening to our podcast. We really appreciate it, and we're having so much fun. If you want to follow us individually on Instagram, you totally can. Ryan's Instagram handle is @RDCeramics, and mine is 5 Lines Pottery. That's the number 5. We would love to hear from you, and don't forget to write us a review on our podcast. We read every single one of them, and we totally appreciate them. They help us out an awful lot, and they also put smiles on our faces. I hope you guys continue to listen, and we love you. Thanks. Bye.